On the Irrawaddy by G. A. Henty. Preface. With the exception of the terrible retreat from Afghanistan, none of England's many little wars have been so fatal, in proportion to the number of those engaged, as our first expedition to Burma. It was undertaken without any due comprehension of the difficulties to be encountered, from the effects of climate and the deficiency of transport. The power, and still more the obstinacy and arrogance of the court of Ava, were altogether underrated, and it was considered that our possession of her ports would assuredly bring the enemy, who had wantonly forced the struggle upon us, to submission. Events, however, proved the completeness of the error. The Burman policy of carrying off every boat on the river, laying waste the whole country, and driving away the inhabitants and the herds, maintained our army as prisoners in Rangoon through the first wet season, and caused the loss of half the white officers and men first sent there. The subsequent campaign was no less fatal, and although large reinforcements had been sent, 50% of the whole died, so that less than 2,000 fighting men remained in the ranks when the expedition arrived within a short distance of Ava. Not until the last Burmese army had been scattered did the court of Ava submit to the by no means onerous terms we imposed. Great, indeed, was the contrast presented by this first invasion of the country with the last war in 1885, which brought about the final annexation of Burma. Then a fleet of steamers conveyed the troops up the noble river, while in 1884 a solitary steamer was all that India could furnish to aid the flotilla of rowboats. No worse government has ever existed than that of Burma, when, with the boast that she intended to drive the British out of India, she began the war. No people were ever kept down by a more grinding tyranny, and the occupation of the country by the British has been an even greater blessing to the population than has that of India. Several works, some by eyewitnesses, others compiled from official documents, appeared after the war. They differ remarkably in the relation of details, and still more in the spelling of the names both of persons and places. I have chiefly followed those given in the narratives of Mr. H. H. Wilson and of Major Snodgrass, the military secretary to the commander of the expedition. End of preface. On the Irrawaddy by G. A. Henty. Chapter 1. A New Career. A party was assembled in a room of an hotel in Calcutta at the end of the year 1822. It consisted of a gentleman, a lady in deep mourning, a boy between 14 and 15, and two girls of 13 and 12. "I think you had better accept my offer, Nellie," the gentleman was saying. "You will find it hard work enough to make both ends meet with these two girls, and Stanley would be a heavy drain on you. The girls cost nothing but their clothes, but he must go to a decent school, and then there would be the trouble of thinking what to do with him afterwards. If I could have allowed you a couple of hundred a year, it would have been altogether different, but, you see, I am fighting an uphill fight myself, and need every penny that I can scrape together. I'm getting on, and I can see well enough that, unless something occurs to upset the whole thing, I shall be doing a big trade one of these days. But every penny of profit has to go into the business. So, as you know, I cannot help you at present, though by the time the girls grow up I hope I shall be able to do so, and that to a good extent. I feel sure that it would not be a bad thing for Stanley. He will soon get to be useful to me, and in 3 or 4 years will be a valuable assistant. Speaking Hindustani as well as he does, he won't be very long in picking up enough of the various dialects in Kathie and Chittagong for our purpose, and by 20 he will have a share of the business, and be on the highway towards making his fortune. It will be infinitely better than anything he's likely to find in England, and he'll be doing a man's work at the age when he would still be a schoolboy in England. I have spoken to him about it. Of course he does not like leaving you, but he says that he should like it 1,000 times better than perhaps having to go into some humdrum office in England." "Thank you, Tom," Mrs. Brooks said with a sigh. "It will be very hard to part with him, terribly hard, but I see that it is by far the best thing for him, and, as you say, in a monetary way it will be a relief to me. I think I can manage very comfortably on the pension in some quiet place at home."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?